All right, so it looks like we are live. We back. What's up, everybody? What's going on? JV wins. Dogon SS here for another edition into the Conscious Approach live stream series. March the 13th, we're going to talk about Ryan Coogler and Deshaun Watson. So we'll start off with Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler was in the news this week because there was an incident that took place back in January, which is interesting. I'm surprised that this became sort of public. I'm surprised that this became public now when it happened in January. Usually this stuff hits the media pretty fast. So the fact that it took this long to become public is interesting. But Ryan Coogler, who, if you do not know, he is the director of Black Panther. He also, I think, directed Creed with Michael B. Jordan. So he's on the rise, and he's currently in Atlanta filming the sequel to Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And he went into a Bank of America to withdraw $12,000 from his bank account. And somehow, some way, his attempt to do this drew red flags. The police ended up getting called. He ended up getting put in handcuffs. There were two guys waiting on him in an SUV outside the bank. They were also put in handcuffs. And, this story obviously is being co-opted as a story of Black people being unjustly policed in America. So let me just read this little story here from BuzzFeed real quick, just so that we can sort of establish some context. It says the Atlanta Police Department released body cam footage Wednesday that showed its officers detaining Ryan Coogler, the director of Black Panther, after they mistook him for a bank robber in January. Police showed up to a branch of Bank of America on January 7th after Coogler requested to withdraw $12,000 from his bank account, according to an incident report also released Wednesday. The 35-year-old director showed his California ID, his bank card, and gave his PIN number, but the bank teller became suspicious when Coogler wrote on the back of the deposit slip to be discreet with the money. Quote, "My stomach started turning," the bank teller, who is pregnant, told police in the body cam footage, adding, I have to protect myself. I have to protect my child." I think that's a bit of an exaggeration, but whatever. Coogler was wearing sunglasses, a hat, and a face mask. Both Coogler and the bank teller are Black. That's very important to this conversation, so please keep that in mind. And then we'll go all the way to the end here. It says Coogler did not immediately respond to a request for comment. In a statement reported Wednesday by the New York Times, he said the situation, quote, "should never have happened, but that Bank of America worked with me and addressed it to my satisfaction, and we have moved on," end quote. So that was just a couple of paragraphs from the story that BuzzFeed published to their website on the story. There is going to be a link to that story in the description of this video if you want to read it for yourself. But so, immediately, when this story started trending, I started getting Twitter notifications. Did a Google thing, kind of looked at what people were saying, and this is predictably being discussed as like, racism. Now, what's interesting about this is it's being co-opted as a racism story, despite the fact that the teller who called the cops was Black and the arresting officers were also Black. There is a clip of the officers showing up to arrest Coogler that's on that same webpage. If you just hit the clip, it'll play and you'll see not only is the teller Black, but the cops are Black. So what this says to me is that race conversations continue to be incredibly nuanced and gray, despite the fact that the media and a lot of bad faith actors in the celebrity world and in the social media world try to make everything about Black and white and racism versus not racism. Black people engage in intra-racial discrimination. Whether people acknowledge that or not, we do that to each other. So I think that it's important to keep those things in mind whenever you want to have experienced a knee-jerk reaction and immediately leap to the conclusion that this is about race. Now, in a roundabout way, I think that perhaps this is a bit of a racial story, but it's a racial story that is representative of the ways in which Black people can be profiled, even by other Black people, not just by white people. And, for me, kind of the way I look at it is, and I discussed this concept when we talked about Florida trying to create a ban. Like, Florida is in the process of trying to initiate a ban that would prohibit the education, the school systems, public schools, from teaching critical race theory, because they believe that critical race theory is inherently conditioning kids to believe that white people are inherently racist and are inherently responsible for racism. And so there's a ban that is being issued currently. There's a bill that is being attempted to be issued that would ban critical race theory from being taught. And my reaction to that story was, it shows you how there are bad faith actors who go about the business of being so subjective in their own personal ideology that they do not give racial conversations the fairness that they deserve in terms of discussing the nuance and the gray. They make it all about racism being at the root of everything and that white people are inherently bad and racist. And so bad faith actors on the other side respond to that by saying critical race theory is somehow bad to be taught because racism is like not really a thing that should be pushed anymore because it doesn't really exist. Neither side is right. Both of them need a reality check, but it's important to point out bad faith actors when you see them, because bad faith actors are the reason why we cannot get any productive headway when it comes to having the appropriate types of nuanced racial conversations. So that's my immediate take on that, is let's try and weed out the bad faith actors and not allow them to participate in the conversation, because the bad faith actors will ignore all of the facts of this particular story, such as the teller being Black and the cops being Black, and they will use this as leverage to continue to put forth the idea that Black people in modern America are under constant police discrimination 24/7, which in my opinion is an overstatement. But those are my initial reactions.
So let me ask you, as far as, damn, what was I gonna ask you? It was dealing with the Taylor being Black. Oh yeah. So how do you feel about the release date of this information based upon when it actually happened? Do you feel like it was more legal reasons, or you feel like it could be something else?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if there is, obviously I'm not very educated on, bank policies and statute of limitations on when this type of information from a legal standpoint can be released to public dissemination. I'm not sure. I don't know if it was, I don't know if it was intentionally delayed because of some legal hurdle that needed to be cleared, or whether it was delayed because people tried to keep it under wraps as much as possible, but you can only keep stuff under wraps for so long. I'm not exactly sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, because to me it was just odd. It was odd, the story and all of it. Um, I, I don't have 12,000 to withdraw, so I mean, I guess that's rich people problems.
Right.
I don't know why he's withdrawing so much, but that's what a broke person would ask, I guess.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know, but so that was a large amount of money. But that the photo that we have down there was from the event, and I mean, he's dressed in with a Scully, glasses, shades, a mask,
Yeah.
pull over hoodie,
Right.
and you're asking for 12K, and you're asking the person to be discreet. I'm pretty sure in her trainings somewhere they were told that, hey, when somebody passed you a note and telling you to be discreet, that I should sound some alarm.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's also there's another more that I was reading about this. Apparently, that is like a Bank of America policy that when someone attempts to draw, I think the number is more than, I believe, don't quote me on this. I got to do a fact check. But I believe it is if someone is attempting to withdraw cash in an amount that exceeds $10,000, that there are additional checks and balances that go into that are initiated um, in order to verify that this is a legitimate transaction that's taking place.
And that makes sense to me. If he's pulling out that much money, I'm sure he's pulled out that much money before.
Yeah.
And I would just imagine if I'm pulling out that much money and I would like it to be this discreet, that I would call ahead. I would make provisions. Hey, I'm the guy that directed Creed and the new Black Panther. I'm about to take out $10,000 at a bank, and I don't want to get hit up.
Yeah.
So let me call in advance. To me, these are just regular things. Because at that point, because it's like, oh, they discriminate. It's like, hey, you're not making a regular bank transaction. You're not asking for $100. You're not asking for $1,200.
Yeah, right? It's kind of uncommon though. Like, how often does a high-profile individual, first of all, again, and we are two broke people talking about this, so perhaps we're just ignorant to how all of this works. And exactly. I think it is good that you brought that up because that's a good point. But like, I would imagine that a high-profile person who's rich, do you even personally go to the bank yourself to perform your own transactions? Like, isn't that something that you usually have your handlers, financial people? Like, doesn't it kind of seem like you wouldn't be doing this yourself personally?
I mean, maybe a wire, like 12,000 cash. To me, this is like also like, bro, this is, I don't know. It's not suspicious, but I mean, hell, you're at a bank. And this is more, I do agree that I think this is deeper than race. It was deeper than race before I even knew the teller was Black. Mm-hmm. So to hear that the teller was Black was just like, hey, man, she was just doing her job. Now, the part where he was like, I was in fear for my baby and all that. Like, calm down.
Yeah, I think you layered on salt.
That's a little too much for me. But, so, me looking at this story surrounding this thing, and I'm seeing stories from, social media, not social media, but major news outlets.
Yeah.
And they're talking about it, and it was like, it's a shame that a Black man can't even go into a bank and withdraw money.
Yeah.
And then, and it's like, just because it's a large lump sum, and because you know why. I'm like, well. And so now the Taylor's Black, so it's like, what was the reason?
What are we talking about? Yeah.
What's the reason?
I don't know, man. You can't make this up.
Well, here's my thing. So I go galaxy brain. So I don't just take one angle. I take the deep angles and stuff like that. And to me, I always look at stuff as publicity. For me, this seems publicity oriented. Now Black Panther's not coming out next month. If it came out next month, for sure. Mm-hmm. But I still had to look at the release date and stuff like that. It's coming out later this year. Mm-hmm. And for social media, this is good promotion for it, because social media is going to do the legwork for it. Like, oh, look, the director for Black Panther had racism bestowed upon him when he was trying to withdraw money. Even the rich one of us aren't even treated.
You can't make this up, man. I know. It's just setting the stage.
And it's just perfect. This up, man. It's so perfect, and it just lines up well for the social media carrying it in that angle. And then upon the release date coming out again, I know I'm going to hear about this again, about how the director was discriminated upon at a Bank of America. But at the end of the day, when you hear that everything was Black, so even like we can see in the image here, the guy that's cuffing him up is, he's a Black dude, like you said.
Yeah.
So all of this is that I don't really see anything racial here. So to me, it's just rich guy problems. Maybe he ain't never had this much money before. Maybe this is why he's running into this problem now. I don't know what's going on, but to me, I don't think it was racially motivated. I really feel as though it was, just I don't know. It just another day in the life. And honestly, I would just if I was a rich dude and something like this happened to me, and was like, oh, yeah, it just happened because I'm rich. I would feel like there's a degree of me being black to it too, because hey, maybe the same black teller, if it was a white guy asking for 10 racks or 20 or 1,200 or $12,000 or whatever, maybe she doesn't sound some alarm. And so maybe there is an element, but you said that yourself that, hey man, black people discriminate towards themselves all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So none of this stuff is news to me. As far as like, how he was treated. If anything, I just feel as though I'm not saying that I'm not victim shaming or nothing like that, but I mean, going into a bank with a hoodie, shades, and pullover, hoodie, whatever, and asking for $12,000, that sounds sus. Two guys waiting in the car for you.
A black SUV. It's like, what do we do? Like, it's like this literally sounds like a scene from the movie 999 or something. Like, this you cannot make this up. Like, that part of it to me, I had to laugh because I'm like, it has all of the like, if it was actually an attempted bank robbery, it would look the part.
Right.
Because you got guys waiting in a black SUV outside the bank, and right. You're in the bank somewhat looking like a person who might rob a bank might be dressed in a similar fashion.
Yes, bro. Yeah. Like, my thing is, you just got to be aware of your surroundings. And so a white man can't walk in there with a hoodie, and probably not. He probably could.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah,
he probably not, or he probably could. Yeah. The point is that, hey, we're just here to the point to where it's like, oh, black man, listen, bro, black man in hoodie, okay, Scully shades, face covering. That already sounds suspicious in America. Like, I don't know where you can go and you're not a suspect. Like, honestly, when people are allowed to wear masks like this, even when everybody's allowed to wear masks, he could be in a full convention full of people wearing masks. You still have a Scully and a pullover sweatshirt. You're scaring people.
And shades on.
Shades. You're scaring a large amount of people in there. And so I'm not saying that that's right. I'm just saying that that's where we are in America. Black, white, old, young, honestly, I scare people when I walk in certain establishments dressed in certain gear because it's because I'm wearing all black. Oh shit. It's like, oh man. And I was like, oh shit, I am wearing all black today. Because people like stand up. It's like, I ain't gonna rob you. But hey, I'm got locks, I'm wearing all black. Who knows? Who knows what I'm up to this Sunday afternoon? So
yeah, I agree. I agree. I don't, again, this is another one of my themes that I say on several occasions. I do not live in the world of pie in the sky, or I don't live in a utopia. I assess the world as it is, not as it should be. Mm-hmm. And the world as it is dictates that if you're dressed in that manner, you might draw suspicion. Yes. If you're dressed in that manner, it just is what it is. Whether right or wrong, I think it is incumbent upon you to maintain some awareness of your surroundings. And understand what you're getting yourself into whenever you choose to do something of that nature. And to the whole racial component, yeah, man, I just kind of feel like, because people just can't help themselves and they want to take it there. It's like we really do thirst for the next opportunity to find Black people being discriminated against racially. We need it. We have an insatiable desire to depict Black people as being constantly persecuted. And so this gives people the opportunity to do that, despite the fact that all of the facts of the situation shows that everyone involved was Black. So, despite the fact that everyone who is involved is Black, we're still having this conversation within the context of him being racially discriminated against, which to me that is fascinating. Mm-hmm. To me, that is fascinating that it's still being depicted that way. People are still releasing statements publicly talking about how it's a shame that Black people are being unjustly policed and profiled in America racially when the people who did this to him were black. That to me is fascinating. It honestly is. And so if you want to take it there and make this about race, then we're going to have to talk about intra-racial discrimination, not interracial discrimination, because everyone involved was black. Mm-hmm. But no one wants to do that because that's not the sexy thing. That would not give us the opportunity to continue to talk about how black people are constantly persecuted by white America. If we bring in the fact that everybody involved was black, it gives you less of an ability to do that, which puts less sting on it, right? It makes for less of a social media firestorm. It makes it less for a sexy hot topic in the mainstream media or in the lamestream media, because we just need to be able to talk about how this is another addition in the long line of black people getting hit up and banned by the police unjustly. The only thing that I have to say is that I just want to, when you get these people who I call bad faith actors, who want to make every single thing about race and ignore the nuance, when those people come out of the woodwork, I like for us to be able to call them out and to remove them from the discussion, because they are the people who are contributing. You got bad faith actors on either side, but for right now, I'm addressing the side that immediately wants to make everything about race. Mm-hmm. Like, they are halfway contributing to what makes it so difficult to actually have productive racial conversations, because despite what happened, people are choosing to ignore the fact that the teller is black and that the cops are black, because they just have to be able to talk about how Ryan Coogler was racially discriminated against. And so, that's pretty much the main takeaway that I want to have from this, is just, this gives us a chance to kind of eliminate or identify and hopefully eliminate the bad faith actors from this conversation, because they should play no role in it, quite honestly. And yeah, I mean, listen, I've been around long enough to know that I have been profiled against by people who look like me many times. And not only that, but I myself have profiled other people who look like me many times. So this is something that happens all the time, as you said, and it will continue to happen because profiling, contrary to popular belief, does not limit itself to an interracial dynamic. Black people profile each other just the same way that white people profile each other, so on and so forth. This happens, it goes on, and in this particular case, this was a case of, in my estimation, black on black crime. And I know people don't want to hear that, but that doesn't make it any less true.
I agree with that. People, the discussion has to be had. Overall, I just think it's just an area of comfort for black people. I was raised to feel that way, to see it in everything, because I still see the racism and stuff. I'm quick to call something racist if it's really racist,
right?
Or I'm quick to call something out where, man, I would have thought that was racist back in the day,
right?
And the reason being is when you're in that space where you feel disenfranchised and you really feel as though that why is my conditions like this? And why are my neighbors' conditions like this? Unless there is something oppressing us, then you see certain things that, gives evidence to it, whether it be in the news or you hear something out of people's mouths, say certain things that are, racially insensitive or whatever. You get a lot of confirmation bias, if you will. Mm-hmm. And then so growing up, hearing it from caregivers or whatever, you seeing it on the news, the media, or whatever, that you used to be a slave, you're disenfranchised, you used to not be able to vote, all that stuff. And it's like, oh man, people hate me just because of me. And then, you just have to go through life and actually break. It's like it's really a curse, bro. And the thing is that people think that there's just two ways of looking at, certain situations where it's either racist or it's not. Yeah. And if you think it's racist, then you're down. If you don't think it's racist, you're some type of sellout.
Yeah.
And so, but like you said, it's much more nuanced than just, no pun intended, being black or white. So things are, if you look at things through a different lens, you wouldn't be as offended by certain events. You would see that things do play out by merit at times. And it's not always racially motivated. A lot of the times, things can be seen as racially motivated because there's still people out here that do things based off race or gender or whatever bias they have. But at the same time, I think, like you were saying before, is blown completely out of proportion. This is a good example of how people are just taking one piece of information and completely running with it without doing any other type of background information and nothing like that. Nope, look at it. You know, he tried to take the money out. They arrested him. White people don't go through that. How do you know?
Yeah.
You know, how do you know? Do their stories hit the news? I mean, you know, now maybe it's not their top directors, you know, from Hollywood, but nevertheless, I mean, shit happens every day, man. So I agree with you. Overall, I just feel as though and honestly, it took me so long to get out of that frame of thought. And what took me, honestly, it took me so long, and it's kind of hard to trace where the breadcrumbs were, where I finally turned a corner. I was like, you know, I don't believe that anymore. Like, oh, that's just stupid. But it's just now, I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
And if you do see if you do turn on the game and you're just trying to watch the game and you do see a racist commercial, why do you go patronize that place later? Why do you go buy their stuff anyway if you think they're racist? So my thing is, for everybody that's hollering racism, do yourself a favor and don't fund the oppression that you're claiming that's oppressing you. So
yeah.
But yeah, I think we need to get over pointing the finger, and this is a prime example of us blindly pointing the finger and not even knowing, you know, the flavor of the Kool-Aid, if you will.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, no, yeah, yeah, I hear all of that. It's just, you know, it's unfortunate, man. You know, it's just very trendy to look for the racism now. It's almost like it's one of those challenges, or like those TikTok dances, or those TikTok trends where you make a video doing the same dance or something like that to participate in it. It's almost, that's what this feels like to me sometimes, is just, you know, it's like the race challenge. You know, how many stories can we flood the internet so that we can, you know, make sure that everyone is aware that at all times, under every circumstance possible, Black people are being victimized.
And honestly, bro, it's cringy to me. And that's what I'm sick of the cringe. Yeah. And honestly, bro, like I saw Black Panther. It took me a while. I didn't watch it when it first dropped. I didn't want to be a part of that wave. But just even just like how you talked about before, how Black people attach their entire culture to a music genre. The madness that people lost themselves in when there was a Black superhero movie. And it's just like, oh, Black Panther, and people were just losing their minds. Yeah. I finally watched the movie. I was like, oh, yeah, it's all right. It's a good movie. It was just a regular.
It wasn't about the movie. It was about the moment. It had nothing to do with the movie itself.
Exactly. And people lose their. I was like, you're getting excited. You're getting getting in costumes.
Yeah.
Having watch parties. Y'all getting excited for a superhero movie. And so it's to the point, that's what I'm saying, man, priorities are out of whack. It's not really, and so when this movie dropped in November, oh man, the all of this, yeah, Wakanda forever. I wish another Black person would do this to me. Don't do this to me.
Yeah, no, it's gonna happen, and I agree. That movie was a cultural phenomenon. It had nothing to do with how good the movie actually was. But don't get around the right crowd of Black people and talk about how that movie wasn't that good, because
I've already sold out.
Yeah,
I already sold out. Yeah, I already sold out when I said this story wasn't racist.
Yeah, you because you're not allowed to think. You forgot the memo, bro. You're a Black person, so you're not allowed to think for yourself. You're not. You're
Oh my
supposed to
goodness.
think the way the Black collector tells you to think. So, yeah, Black Panther is the greatest movie of all time, guys. You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. But yeah, that's also another conversation that we can have, but we don't need to get into the weeds. But how far does your like how far does your propensity for calling out the racism extend? Because for example, everybody, Black people everywhere went crazy over Black Panther because it was a Black superhero movie and whatnot, despite the fact that the origins of the character were written by these old stuffy white guys.
Exactly.
Like where does your racial barometer, like your antennae or whatever, like how far does that extend? It's all conditional. This stuff is conditional, man. People want their comfort food, but they also want to be able to expound their ideology. It doesn't make any sense. And I agree with you about the patronage aspect of it. That's another layer of this, like the whole Redskins thing. If y'all really got such a big problem with the Redskins, why are people still going to the game selling it out?
Right.
It didn't make sense. So this is such a huge issue, but the games sell out, and they still got all the season tickets are gone. The Redskins are still on national TV every week. Everybody's still going to the game. The team wasn't even good, and the game still sold out. They don't even need to be competitive. People still gonna go and sell out the stadium, get all the season tickets, show up with the jerseys and the being overtly racist with the wearing the feathers and the war paint and all that on their face. Like, it's like, what are we doing here? And those the same people will get on social media talking about Black Lives Matter. Right. It's ridiculous. And a lot of these people, some Black people, and then a lot of white people too, these white leftists, these white social justice warriors who want to walk arm in arm, side by side with their Black brothers, but would never be okay if their white daughter came home with a Black boyfriend. They would have a problem with that. No one wants to talk about that kind of stuff. We just want to we want to act like we're okay with everything and be we are the world. It's complete BS.
Absolutely.
And just like this story is complete BS. It's complete BS.
Agreed.
All right, so we'll move on. Next we're gonna talk about Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, I don't even know how is he a former? I guess he's still on the roster as a quarterback for the Texans, even though in all likelihood he won't play there anymore. Right. But Deshaun Watson, so about a year or so ago, it was levied with 20-something charges of sexual assault, stemming from his activity at some kind of massage parlor or something. So, as a result, the media story obviously was very negative, a lot of bad PR. And as a result, that on top of the fact that there was some friction between him and the organization, he didn't want to play for the organization anymore because he felt like, here we go again, that the Houston Texans are racist. And so he just didn't play the whole year. He just said, F it, I'm not playing. And it made it easy for all parties involved to be okay with the decision to not let him play because of this situation with the sexual assault. Well, word came down yesterday that there will be no criminal charges filed in this situation, meaning that moving forward, all he's going to be dealing with is like the civil suit, the civil aspect of it. So NFL.com posted this story, so I'm going to just read it real quick to provide some context. A Harris County grand jury did not find enough evidence to charge Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson following allegations of sexual misconduct stemming from massage therapy sessions. After a Harris County grand jury was presented all the evidence and had the opportunity to hear from all witnesses, grand jurors declined to indict Deshaun Watson. Dane Schiller, spokesman for the Harris County District Attorney's Office, said in a statement Friday, grand jury proceedings are secret by law, so no information related to their inquiry may be disclosed. Watson, 26, is also facing 22 civil lawsuits. Friday's hearing comes less than 1 year from the filing of the first two lawsuits for indecent conduct against Watson. quote, "We are delighted that the grand jury has looked at the matter thoroughly and reached the same conclusion we did. Deshaun Watson did not commit any crimes and is not guilty of any offenses," Watson's attorney, Rusty Hardin, said in a statement. "Now that the criminal investigations have been completed, we are happy to move forward with the civil case depositions. We will vigorously defend those cases with every ounce we have." Hardin stated previously that some sexual activity occurred during the massage sessions, but that Watson did not engage in anything that was not mutually desired by the other party. Houston general manager Nick Caserio said in January that it is unlikely Watson will play for the team again. Yada, 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 yada. So Deshaun Watson, no criminal charges, 22, which is a ridiculous number.
Yeah,
That's like Harvey Weinstein type stuff. 22 civil lawsuits, but no criminal charges, which to me is very telling, the fact that there are no criminal charges. But yeah, this situation broke yesterday. What did you think about that?
Actually, I'm happy for it. I'm happy for the guy. Those are a lot of charges, but at the same time, yeah, choose my words carefully here. I was thinking more of like collusion towards this case. It was just very coincidental. The timing of all of these allegations and stuff like that when he was voicing, his dismay.
Mm-hmm.
And then after him doing it, like literally shortly after, all of these charges come out of the woodwork. And did you watch the TV show Ballers?
Yeah.
Honestly, this has a Ballers feel to me.
Mm-hmm.
From the sense that there's something here bigger than meets the eye. There was some strings that were getting pulled, and it was like, hey, this guy needs to pay the price. I think more or less, man, the NFL is like the mob. They are. I mean, it was started by the mob. Basically, it's a gambling-oriented thing. It's closed off. They don't let anybody else in. It's real particular what they do, and they play by their own rules. And so, when Deshaun did that, he put a hit out on himself. It wasn't career suicide like Flores may have done to himself, or what Kaepernick ultimately did to himself. But at the same time, it was definitely warranted for more than a slap on the wrist, because he lost a whole year of pay. And on top of that, even though charges are dropped, he loses dignity. And so for them to attack so for them to attack his character like that, I think that's not cool, because I don't think it played out the way that it did. I think he had a fetish for this stuff. And I think a lot of it was this untold, unsaid underworld of massage therapy that he was tapping into. And
yeah, it was on some Jeffrey Epstein stuff.
Yeah, I think but I felt as though all of it was consensual.
Yes.
And but eventually, once the right people were paid off, then they pressed certain charges. And so that's my theory of the situation. I didn't think they were ultimately gonna, convict him of any of this. I think the objective was done to not let him make a year worth of checks and drag his name and reputation through the mud. And I feel a mission was accomplished, so he can go out there and play again. So I think that's where we're at with this situation.
I agree 100% that the criminal aspect of this was never going to see the light of day, because there was no crime that was committed.
All right.
Now, you can say what you want. I don't care. I don't give a damn. There was no crime that was committed. You're not going to be the starting quarterback of an NFL franchise, a number one overall pick, Heisman Trophy winner, and signed one of the richest contracts in NFL history for any player, quarterback or otherwise, and be someone who has to coerce women unwanting into sexual activity.
That's deep.
It's just not. It's not. I'm sorry, but that's not gonna happen. You know, you can disagree with that all you want, but logic dictates that what I'm saying is true. There was no crime that was committed here, and the damage that was done, the damage that was going to be done to him had absolutely nothing to do with him being a criminal, and had everything to do with the negative PR that he was going to incur during this entire time. That was the damage that was going to be done to him, and as you expressed, the damage was done and the mission was accomplished. Robert Kraft got caught up at a massage parlor. It got found out that Robert Kraft liked to get his rub and tugs. and all of a sudden there was this inquisition and this investigation into Robert Kraft as though it needs to be investigated whether he is fit to be an owner, whether anything bad or negligible took place, whether any criminal charges need to be filed. There was a civil suit that was settled out of court. Robert Kraft did nothing wrong. Whatever was going on in that massage parlor was consensual. Them women wanted to do that with Robert Kraft. They were not being held against their will. There was nothing illegal taking place. Okay, a multi-billionaire does not have to force a woman to do anything. He doesn't. These are not sexual deviants like Harvey Weinstein. Okay, that was true criminal activity. That's why he's in prison. Robert Kraft did not do anything illegal, nor did Deshaun Watson. And this type of stuff is ridiculous, because what happens is the story breaks, it gets put on First Take and Undisputed, and you see the number 22. And it's like, oh my God, so many. What are you doing, Deshaun? How could you? That's so wrong. And here comes the negative PR firestorm. If something heinous actually took place, he'd be getting ready to fight for his life to go to jail.
Right.
If something bad happened, now he's going to end up paying out because the longer that this drags on, and this is what I don't like about the American litigious society that we have, that people who didn't do anything wrong still end up having to pay a significant price. He's going to have to pay out, because the longer that this drags out and the longer people keep talking about the fact that Deshaun Watson is facing 22 civil lawsuits, the more negative PR he is going to incur. So it's best to just cut your losses as soon as possible so that you can move on with your life and your career. So he's going to settle out of court probably for an undisclosed amount when it's all said and done. But this type of stuff really pisses me off, because the man didn't do anything wrong. I 100% believe that it was completely consensual. Them women wanted to be there. They wanted to do that with him. And what I believe happened was when they realized that the gravy train was going to end, then it was like, oh, we ain't finna be getting our bag no more. Let's file a lawsuit. It's his word against ours, and it's 22 of us. Who are the people going to believe, us or him? Of course they're going to believe us. We're the victimized women. And so this speaks to a greater issue going on right now in our westernized culture, where it has become socially acceptable. It is vogue, almost vogue no, seriously, it has become vogue to go after two different types of people. White people and heterosexual men. If you're going after a white person, or if you're going after heterosexual men, no one is going to say anything about you. You are just in your cause to bring truth to the light, because you're going after the evil things of the world. Right? Seriously, like
you're right. Go ahead.
White people and straight men in our current society are perceived to be at the root of everything that's wrong with the world. If there's something wrong with the world, blame a white person or blame a straight guy.
And then you're in a good space. And everybody agree with you.
Yeah. So it's like everybody will agree with you. No one's gonna say that you're wrong, because the enemy is a white guy. Or we hate
Yeah.
all white people now. All white people are the devil. So it's okay to go after white people. And if you go after straight men, it's like, okay, you're going after a straight guy. A straight guy is the evil guy. He's the devil. All you straight men imposing your patriarchy upon us. How dare you? You've been wronging us all this time. You men suck. Women rule. And so it's like, no one's going to criticize you if you go against a straight guy or against a white person. And this is what happened here. You got 22 females going after this guy, even though they consented to everything that went on, and they're gonna get a come up off of this because he's an NFL player who's a straight guy. And straight guys are the problem, just like white people are the problems. And so this is a disturbing, growing trend that, once again, like everything else, sees no signs of slowing down. We're going to continue to see more of this. Robert Kraft got raked through the coals himself, even though his body of work suggests that he is an upstanding person who would not necessarily be capable of that kind of deviant behavior. Now, granted, everybody can go through stuff, so no one is completely absolved from sort of transgressing. But on the whole, Robert Kraft's body of work and his history suggests that he is somebody who's more upstanding than not. And yet he got raked through the coals when people tried to suggest that he was doing something non-consensual in a massage parlor. This is craziness. It's fake news, in my opinion. Fake news from the standpoint that these are aspects of hate mongering that are being manifested as real stories on the part of a large contingent of our society who wants to continue to victimize certain groups of people juxtaposed to their evil assailants. In this case, a straight guy in Deshaun Watson. And we see it happening all the time with white people. And look, I'm not here to try and excuse all white people or suggest that white people don't be doing shady, racist stuff, but you have to address the facts as they come in and stop being so, tunnel vision that you just see everything through the prism of your ideology, even when the facts of the situation don't line up with what it is that you think it does. And this is what we got going on here, man. I'm mad that Deshaun Watson is going to end up paying these women. Like, that pisses me off. I wish that he could tell them to go kick rocks, but that's not going to happen. He's going to pay them. They're going to get that. They're going to come up, and they're going to be able to, live in a lap of luxury because they decided to be litigious against this heterosexual guy, because heterosexual men are the devil. The patriarchy is the devil. Men are the devil. Heterosexual men are the devil. And this is what we got going on here, man. And Deshaun Watson, unfortunately, was an unwitting victim of this dynamic that, as I said before, sees no signs of slowing down.
Absolutely. I agree. And he was a man. Oh yeah, he was an athlete. He did what? He exposed himself to them. Oh, he's now what? Bro, first of all, I'm not even gonna get into that. My thing is, I agree with everything that you said. And just to double down what I said on earlier, I just feel as though that this is just, it was a setup. This is what happens, man. I really think what goes on, and this is for politicians or whoever.
Yeah.
Once you're a high roller and you're a high stakes person, you just out there, and everybody knows you and all this other stuff, and you're a person. You really do have to move differently.
Yeah.
But once you get up there, you're in a whole new realm of politics. And you got to rub the right elbows. You got to say the right things. You got to do the right stuff if you want to be in that circle.
Yeah.
And whether he likes it or not, he's a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
That is a small minority club. And so whether he likes it or not, he's on Front Street.
Yeah.
And so, like a politician, if you have dirt on you, they're going to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't play by the rules, whatever rules those may be, you will be outed. If you have a secret life, it's coming out. And I think that's what's going on with him. I don't know what was going on behind closed doors with those women. I know he was doing something. but like I said, I do think it was consensual, but it still got out that Deshaun got his little thing for his massage girls.
Yeah.
And everybody knows it.
Yeah.
And then so once it got out that, hey, he's not playing by the rules, he has to pay. How can we make him pay? Hey, he played with them massage girls. We got an angle right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoop-de-whoop.
Yeah.
And so same thing with I don't know what Weinstein did outside of being what Weinstein was doing for the 20 or 30 years he was doing it. But he might not have been playing by the rules somewhere. He didn't shake the right hands or whatever. Same thing.
He pissed off the wrong person.
The wrong person. Same thing with Epstein.
Yeah.
It's like, what'd you say? What'd you do? You know, what did you not do?
Yeah.
You know? And so whenever these things come out, I feel as though, because the stuff that we hear about, there's things that's going on 10 times worse from people that sit in front of the camera and act noble and condemn these people for doing these things.
Yeah.
You know, and so behind closed doors, there's even more nefarious things going on by some of these people. So it's just, to me, it's just, he was a scapegoat, a sacrificial lamb, and they put him out there. Honestly, as a warning to other people, don't mess with the NFL.
Yeah, the cabal.
Yeah, bro, because they have their own cabal. Don't mess with it. And that's what I'm saying, because Ballers showed me that was a good show. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just showed me that, hey man, one hand scratches the other. You know what I'm saying? One does this, and then this happens. Oh, hey man, everybody knows this is going down, but ain't nobody gonna say nothing. You know, it's just a wild thing. So I just think he got caught up, man. I just think he got caught up.
I'm with you there. I just think these guys got to be smarter. Like, now, you know, I'm an accountability guy, so you know, there is a part of me that's gonna say, you know, Deshaun, be smarter with how you do stuff. If you got a thing for your massage parlors and your masseuses, then indulge in your vice, but just do it in a way where your bases are covered. You know, I often bring up Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter, to me, is perhaps the smartest, high-profile professional athlete that I've ever known about, because Derek Jeter was the one guy who was like, I'm not going to fall. I am not going to be prey to this situation. So I do my thing, and I'm out here, and I got my women, and I got my vices, and I got all of this stuff that I'm indulging in. I'm the captain, man. I play for the Yankees. I'm the man. I'm Derek Jeter. So what am I going to do to protect myself? I'm going to make these women come to my house. I'm going to make them sign an NDA. I'm going to make them leave their phone in a pouch at the door, and we're going to do what we do. And if anything comes out, you will be in breach of this agreement, and you are going to be the one who's getting sued, not me. Like, this is what Derek Jeter was doing. Derek Jeter had a rule, like, no phones in my house. You're not going to Odell Beckham me. You're not going to do this. Like, you're not going to take a picture, you know, of me laying in a bed in another country with lines of Coke on the table. Whether you're doing it, like, now, you know, to be clear, I don't think Odell Beckham was doing any of that. I think the girl he was with was doing it, but nevertheless, he put himself in a compromising position. And so Derek Jeter was the guy who was like, you're not going to compromise me. NDAs, no phones, you come to the crib. So to a guy like Deshaun Watson, just don't go to the massage parlor, bro. Like, you know, bring a few of them masseuses to your mansion, make them sign make them sign a non-disclosure agreement. And that way you can indulge in all of the massage parlor vices that you want, and nothing like this can fall back on you. Guys just got to start thinking ahead and being smarter with some of the decisions that they're making, because you're, in a sense, you're a target in this way, in this particular type of context. You are a target, and you don't make things easier for yourself when you make decisions that make you susceptible to being a target even more so. So you just got to make smarter decisions. But there's no way that you're going to convince me that a $60 million starting NFL quarterback has to force a woman to do anything. That's the dumbest. Like, that is ridiculous. These women are lining up to do this stuff for him for free. There is no way that he has to force anyone to do anything. I did that part of it. To me, it really grates my nerves when I see this kind of stuff, because it's like, this guy's not forcing anyone to do anything, but now he's going to have to pay out. But like I said, to avoid paying out, just be a little smarter, bro.
Yeah.
NDAs exist for a reason. Get your attorney, get your people. You got to have that small circle. They're going to know what you're into, but it doesn't matter. You're a $60 million man. This is what comes with the territory. But get your documents together, get your notaries, whatever it is that you got to do. But this is how you square yourself up so that you don't end up in the news or, in the mainstream media or on social media being castigated because you're some kind of multiple sexual assault offender. That this is how you avoid these types of stuff. So, man, I say a lot, man. I know I mentioned Derek Jeter a lot, but to me, he just did it right. He did it right. I don't think Derek Jeter was doing anything that is not what – I don't think Derek Jeter was doing anything in his private life that is different than what most of these pro athletes do. I think Derek Jeter was doing it all and then some. And Derek Jeter rolled with some very, very high-profile women. Derek Jeter was doing a lot, but he was smart enough to know how to cover his bases. And so these guys just got to do a better job of covering their bases, because this is the world that we live in. And I can sit here and I can be righteously indignant and talk about how wrong it is that Watson is going through stuff like this. But at the same time, if you don't protect yourself, it'll still happen, whether this is right or not.
Yeah, bro. You made me. You reminded me of talking about the Derek Jeter situation. I was about to say, there's a rapper. His name's Bandman. I'm sounding like an old man. His name's Bandman Kevo. So he had this thing where he was basically saying that he makes the IG models that he's dating sign contracts because they're using him as a come up.
Yeah.
And so basically, by him being in their images, or them being in his, and then, the adding and the people following vicariously because, oh, you mess with bruh. Oh, damn, she bad. Oh, and then now they following her. Right. And so he was like, they're using us. So he said I forgot what the contract was about, but it was basically a situation where it's like, yeah, it basically neutralizes them using me as a come up type of situation.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey man, you're thinking ahead of the curve, because honestly, like, clout on the internet and that's a form of currency.
Absolutely. Yep.
And so when these females out here are clout chasing and doing whatever so they can get on, they're going to use rappers. So he was telling rappers, hey, make these women sign contract. I forgot what should be in there, but it was still the whole notion of protect yourself, because there are opportunists out there to take advantage of this new stream of income out here. You know what I'm saying? So it's wild stuff. And for anybody, so Deshaun, he already went through it. So hopefully he learned his lesson and he doesn't do this type of stuff anymore. But I guess the take home for anybody at home is like, hey man, if you got you something, it's not crazy, but it's a little spicy. Find yourself a clean channel to do this. Find yourself a clean channel to do this, so nothing's misconstrued.
Yeah.
So find yourself a clean. I think that's what Deshaun's situation was, and I think that's that's an angle that can help us. Just how is this gonna apply to me? Hey, you might have something a little spicy. Might be a little flirting a little too hard at work. Might be looking a little too hard at work. Might be this, might be that. Who knows, right? Just just make sure you're on your P's and Q's, because, hey man, everybody's triggered nowadays, and they don't care what the dresses they're wearing or nothing, and they know what's going on back there. So I'm looking.
Mm-hmm.
And so happen if she turns around, hey, somebody in management was looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're done, bro.
Just
now
like
you're
that.
done, bro.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's just, I think the takeaway from this, we all got jobs. So just be careful, man. Be mindful. Find you a safe place to play. Don't mix streams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, look, I am a proponent. When I learned about what Derek Jeter was doing, I was like, that's so smart. I don't know. Now, I don't know if he came up with that or if he just had some real smart people around him who were like, bro, you need to do this. But it's there was never any scandal. What scandalous story came out about Derek Jeter?
Honestly, he was for a New York Yankees superstar. He was uneventful.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like there was never any Derek Jeter in the news. This is going on. Like the only thing and it's not even scandalous because it has something to do with his profession. But Derek Jeter he's taken on some bad PR because he was a part of the ownership of the Miami Marlins, and he's perceived to have been somebody who was a part of running the franchise into the ground. But that's baseball stuff. That's not private life scandal type stuff. Right, so that's whatever. That's fair game because that has to do with baseball. But in terms of this social media, clickbait, the private life type stuff, scandal, nothing. And at the height of his career, there were only maybe 2 or 3 guys who were above him in terms of popularity. 5 World Series championships playing for the Yankees. This guy was near the top. And so for him to come out unscathed in that regard, it says that works. And like, people will still mess with you. Like, don't be averse to formalizing everything in terms of written contracts and agreements. People are still going to mess with you. Like, Dave Chappelle has his rule where he does not allow cell phones at his stand-up shows. People still go. Like, of course, no one wants to be inconvenienced by not being able to have their phone, but you're gonna follow Dave Chappelle's rules and you're still gonna go to the show. You just don't have your phone. It is what it is. People are still gonna mess with you. If you deal with, NDAs and all of this kind of stuff, these chicks are not gonna be like, oh, I'm not signing that. No, they're still gonna be able to, they're still going to be able to be in relation to Deshaun Watson in some kind of way. You just got to be willing and able and smart enough to just cover all your bases, because it's not going to have a detrimental effect on your ability to indulge in any of your vices. They're still going to mess with you. But you just got to be smarter about the way you do this stuff, because it can just unfortunately come back to bite you in the ass, in the way that it came back to bite Deshaun Watson in the ass.
No, and Chris Brown, notably, he also does the same thing.
Yeah.
And Chris Brown's a little messy ass dude.
Yeah.
And
he learned though, because he started off hella messy. And
he's still messy, bro.
Yeah.
And when you look at him, like, I don't want to put anything on the man, but I don't know what drug he strung out on. Yeah. But he looked like he on something. Yeah. And so I know he's just as messy as he always been. He has to be, as far as I'm concerned. But you don't hear nothing about him no more because them girls be signing contracts.
Yeah.
So it may be a Chris Brown story, but it ain't got nothing to do about him in his bedroom or nothing like that.
Right.
So yeah, man, it pays off. Go. Yeah, if you up there, if you on that tightrope and everybody know your name, hey man, you'll learn. Yeah. Get those contracts going, man.
Yeah. Drake is another one. Drake does not allow phones in his house. And he is just, I cannot imagine some of the stuff that could come out about him. That doesn't, because he's a smart enough guy to not let it. But yeah, he's another one. No phones in the house, no nothing. Like, you're not bringing a phone into Drake's house.
Right.
You're gonna have a rendezvous, but it ain't gonna be you're not gonna bam Drake up. You're not posting anything on Instagram with Drake. Drake is smart enough to know you're not bringing a phone into my house.
I mean, they used to get him. You remember that? That was like that wasn't really that long ago. I guess a few years back, but it was every rapper.
Yeah.
and they were just taking selfies in the bed while the niggas sleep. And it's like, oh, God his ass. God his ass. Yeah, that don't happen no more.
It doesn't. Yeah, stop.
That don't happen no more. Yeah, they don't wised up. They don't wised up.
Yeah. So I guess for him, it's just it sucks because it's gonna cost him. It's gonna cost him, I believe, several $1 million
outside of what he already lost.
And that's because it's not about what they should be paid; it's about what he earns. And he is a $60 million quarterback, so he's gonna end up putting out a several $1 million between all 22 civil lawsuits to kind of make it finally go away. I hope, in my heart of hearts, I hope that they'll be able to fight it with his team so cleanly that he doesn't have to come out paying that much. But history suggests that he's going to come out several $1 million at the end of the day. He's not just going to be able to fight this civil situation because it's a bunch of he say, she say, and it's 22 of them. And they done banded together. They like the Avengers over there. Mm-hmm. They gonna ride it till the wheels fall off. So
and like we said, bro, it's mission accomplished. The mission was to deduct his pay all of last year and to tax him.
Yeah.
On top of that, for these women to pay them off eventually, or to settle, or to just go to court to fight it. Yeah. Either way, you're getting taxed. Yeah. And so, this just sucks, man. I this is very unfortunate for the man. And my thing is for any future athletes, man, or future ballers, just in general in life. Cautionary tale, man. Be careful. Try not to. Bite the hand that feeds you. Don't even growl at the hand that can feed you. Don't do it. Find you another channel or another way to settle the score or whatever. But to try to dunk on a team or the league and try to show them up, they'll show you.
Yeah.
So be careful, man.
For real. Yeah. No, I get the NFL. The NFL is a modern day cabal.
It is. I mean, the amount of collusion and stuff, like this is the type of stuff like in 10, 15 years from now, there'll be a documentary talking about all the goofy behind the scenes backdoor stuff that the NFL is doing. It's like, oh man, shady deals and this and that. It's, oh yeah. I remember the Deshaun Watson thing. Yeah, come to find out it was, It might not be an all out expose, but it might be enough information where it's just like the NFL underground or the NFL under the side of the NFL you never heard of, and it's you'll hear all kinds of stories about collusion and organized. I'm not going to call it crime. Not me, NFL. I'm not calling you guys criminals, so I'm not going to say organized crime. Don't investigate me. Leave me alone.
Yeah. It's like the whole Stephen Ross thing where they're looking into whether he was trying to pay Brian Flores to lose games. Stephen Ross is just the guy who's going to get caught for that. But that's going on all over. Like, you mean to tell me that that's not? Of course that's going on. It's just, it becomes news and then it's like, oh, this is so wrong. This is the price of doing business, man. Stop thinking that you live in this perfect world where everybody's just this angelic. Stop thinking that you live in a perfect world where everyone is angelic and lives by the right code. People just try to get theirs. Like, that's it. There's probably every other team in the NFL that is a losing team has at one point or another done something similar to what Stephen Ross was trying to do with Brian Flores at the Dolphins. Hey, man, lose these games, bro. I'll pay you. Just lose them. What is it? I mean, what is $500,000 to lose games to a guy who's as rich as him? Nothing. And money runs the world. If you got it, you're going to use it to your advantage. It is what it is. So, but yeah, man, that'll do it for the day. I just, I hope it works out in the best possible way for Deshaun Watson, i.e., I hope that he, ends up paying less than $10 million as opposed to having to go crazy paying anything close to that or more than that. Because he's going to have to come out. He's going to have to pay. He's going to have to pay up. But that'll do it for today. Another live stream in the books, man. This is a good couple of topics. Appreciate everybody for tuning into this video. As always, if you're watching this video on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications for all new content published to the channel. You can follow Conscious Approach on Instagram at Conapproach, CONAPPROACH. You can also follow Conscious Approach page on Facebook. We also post the videos to Facebook as well, at Conscious Approach, normal spelling. You can find me on Instagram at JVWins. So just stay tuned as we continue to post new content, great content, repurposed content, whatever content it is. Just check out, be out on the lookout for it. And as usual, I certainly appreciate you for supporting logical content.
Yes, sir. And the name is Dogon SS. You can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and at YouTube at Dogon SS. Also on DraftKings at Dogon_SS. All right. So so for all my daily fantasy people, if y'all play that, send me an invite or whatnot and get destroyed. All right. So but yeah, as I always say, man, just keep it neutral, keep it player, keep it chill, man. Don't be too high, don't be too low. Yeah, man, stay out of the way. Stay out of the way. If you're balling, if you're doing your version of balling, you ain't never balled this hard before in your life. That means you got new challenges. So just stay on your P's and Q's, stay on your pivot, man, and you work hard to deserve it. So work hard to protect it, man. So
facts, yeah. That's good one. We'll go ahead and end it on that note, man. Until next time, JD Wins, Dogon SS. We will catch you on the flip side. Keep supporting logical content. We'll see you next time.